Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockel. And hey, Matt, I'm feeling kind of casual today.
Yeah, same. I'm here in my hoodie.
I'm nice on break. I'm feeling good.
On Christmas break, ready
I'm
to just
wearing
be cash.
I'm wearing my hat inside.
Yeah, wearing a hat inside. I don't know. Sometimes there comes a time where it's like I have a hat on. Why do I have a hat on? I don't
my
get it.
wife my wife would say that's going to help you lose more hair. I'm gonna be like, well, at least it's covering the hair that I already lost,
Yeah.
so
And
it's
even
okay.
with a hoodie, like when I flip the hoodie up and I
Yeah,
put the hoodie on, it's just like this is the mode I get into is like don't talk to me.
don't talk to me. I'm comfortable now.
Got
I can
my
go to
hood
sleep.
on.
Also, that hood is massive on you. It's a
It's
big. It's like a big hoodie
great.
anyway, so it's
I love
huge.
big hoods because the opposite, having like the tiniest hood that squeezes
Yeah,
your head in, hate that.
not good.
No, love it.
All right, we're
But we're
talking
talking about
today.
casual day.
Yeah, casual days. Casual days at schools. Now of course, your school might have some kind of open dress code where you do not have a casual day because they can wear whatever they want anyway. Perhaps you have a consistent uniform, and so a casual day is part. It's interesting to talk about a casual day meeting the mission of the school because if the mission of the school, if we say we have a dress code to meet the mission of the school or a uniform to meet the mission of the school, we're making the statement immediately that we're not meeting our mission on the days that the students don't wear they don't wear their uniforms or
Well,
their dress code. But at the same time, as part. We
well, that
also
was the
say that we,
episode, folks.
yeah, and
So
we're done, and we're done.
see it.
We're done now. Well, I guess the same could be about party days when you're supposed to academic
Right.
days and things like that. So it's the whole student. It's together. But we're talking about casual days, usefulness, money raised, issues, problems. Before we keep going, let's hear from our brand partner.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right, here we go. Let's deep dive
Deep
into
dive.
the casualness of school. Now let's talk about frequency first because I think that's kind of a maybe an easy one to talk through, maybe not, I
Okay.
don't know, but I guess it depends on the standard dress code, right? Because we're talking you have the variety of just your established standard versus a uniform perhaps. But you know, I guess just speaking from experience, I don't have a lot of experience of schools that I know of that do a uniform where, casualness is uh something easily I don't know. I feel like it's perhaps a little bit harder for them to jump into the casual days.
Okay.
Or if they do, they probably still have a very limited uh style that
Yeah.
they want their kids to be wearing. So even on
Yeah.
a casual day,
It's not a free
there's
for
only
all.
specific things that they can wear. But
Yeah.
when it comes to a frequency, because I know I've thought through this a lot, where if you do it too frequently, then is it really special? You know, if you do it
Hmm.
too infrequently, then it's just going to be something that you're probably being nagged all year long.
True
Hey,
enough. Yeah, that's true.
can we do another
Me
casual
too.
day? So I, I tend to gravitate towards the once
Sure.
a month casual day. And if you can pick a specific time of day, like we do, the first Friday of the first full week in a
Yeah.
month. Just that kind of sets a good rhythm for the
It's gonna
year.
be there. Yeah, you could start the scheduling that you're gonna do and know when it's gonna be and know what's coming up against it and see looking forward if there's any kind of issues with it. Now we started frequency and the previous installment I was every other week on a Friday, but there is a key difference and we'll get to that later. But as far as frequency, I will also say it completely matters as to who is in charge of allowing for the casual day. If the casual day is something that can be earned individually, or by the student,
Yeah.
or if it's something that could, so it's a reward, it's a payment, or if it's something that it's school wide and everybody gets to be a part of it, and then it's based on I suppose the administration.
Yeah.
I guess it could come from higher or it could be a cost from lower, but we're thinking as the frequency is determined by the administrative team.
Yeah, and I guess when I jumped into frequency, I'm thinking school wide, and that's why another reason why the full once a month. it allows for those additional
Yeah.
incentives for other casual days. I'll just say this because I say once a month, and yet here we just wrapped up the month of December, and due to incentives, our scheduled casual day, and because of Christmas, our last day of Christmas break, we ended
Mm-hmm.
up having a casual day on every Friday of the
Boom,
month of
boom,
December.
boom.
So, it shows up
Yeah.
in other ways, but that scheduled casual day is still just once a month. But
There
but
you go.
yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so we know that the administration is the ones who are going to be setting these casual days, could be influenced. Like you said, the nagging. I get that. I get the nagging. And I walked into a position where the casual days had been set, or at least there was some thought as to why and how the casual days were set, and there was much upset when they got changed, though the change was completely innocent because none of that was written down. We had
Yeah.
no, and even the ones who would be feeding that kind of information to me weren't saying this is a matter of consistency. So we overcame that and became the every other Friday thing. Um, and there were some adjustments if it was coming off of a break or if we could see there was. So the first year it was not planned out past a couple weeks. The second and third year, it was we're going to schedule these at the start of the year, and then we'll know when they're coming and just have them down and expect.
Yeah.
And like you said, offer a few more throughout the year too. Now, in your situation, do you have a uniform? Do you have a dress code? How does this
Yeah.
casual day differ?
So we do have a dress code, and we even went so far to create a casual day dress code as well.
Okay.
So when you open up our school handbook, and at the beginning of the year, I'm often reminding our parents, if you're unsure as to what your child may wear on a casual day, open up the handbook. It's all listed out right there for you. Of course, they can wear the regular school day
Mm-hmm.
dress as well. They don't have to be casual, but if they do, here are the things that we want. Here are the things that we don't want. So it is a spelled out dress code as well.
Okay. So we had uniforms, and there was a casual day. There was a code for casual day. It said a lot. It said relatively less than it would than I'm imagining other schools may or may not, in so much that it allowed for students to basically wear what they would wear for practices for
Hmm.
practices for athletics. There were, of course, leggings became a big deal. Leggings were allowed, but the ladies had to have something covering their rear ends over these leggings. So like a
Hmm.
large sweater or something like that was allowable. If there wasn't, if I'm trying to think, because then I'm talking about the girls here now, of course.
Sure,
And
sure.
we have other dress code issues. I mean, the boys, they had, if they came with holes or something like that, there was an issue.
Yeah.
But I say issue, just the things to overcome in the dress
Right.
code when it was so
Things to
minute
watch for, things
included.
to yeah.
When you think about what they wear to practice, then you would insert that on a school day that is used to uniforms. It's going to be, I don't want to say jarring or shocking, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's not going to be anywhere near the same. And so
Yeah.
it was some things to work through and to write down and to make sure especially because we were restarting the high school and seeing
Yeah.
more of that. It's a different thing in elementary, but
Yeah,
so
and
the dress code part of it.
as we were saying earlier, we were just in a school that also did uniforms, and on their casual day, um, the pants or the bottoms had to still be regulation
Hmm.
dress, but their top could be like a spirit wear,
Hmm.
something that the school had put out,
Yeah.
um, but it could whether it be t-shirt, hoodie, something to that effect. And I think on
Hmm.
sports days, like guys, athletes could wear their jerseys, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that you get that variation of the code and how you can somewhat still control even a casual day.
Yeah. Okay. How about as a fundraiser or a cost? So in
Yeah,
my installment, the casual day was an expected non-budgeted fundraiser, but the money didn't go to the school. The money went to a local mission or a local ministry partner.
that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
and it
I like that.
wasn't necessarily. And I kind of bucked at this a little bit, and perhaps casual days are far more expensive elsewhere. But it was a dollar per student. And so we had families, you know, this is $5 or so for them to come into a casual day, and I
Yeah.
never wanted that to be a prohibitive thing. And
Yeah.
so we were trying to, I know the pre-K teachers were really liberal with how they handed out they were called nut days, no uniform today days,
Yep.
how they handed out nut day passes. And I tried to, you know, let's find good reasons to pass out nut day passes so people don't have to pay to come in for this. And we would declare certain, like you said, the Christmas party day, that was going to be a free nut day for everybody, a free casual day for everybody. So it was nice to be able to offer what came out to be, you know, a good amount of money because you had
Hmm.
200 kids coming in, you know, 200 plus kids coming in the door, and you do that a couple of times a month, so on and so forth. It was a nice chunk of change to give away to somebody, but it
Yeah.
does not help the school. I know of other schools that do like it helps the seniors, or it
Yeah.
helps a certain class or a certain event, goes to teacher bonuses perhaps.
Yeah. That's what our school did was a dollar to dress casual, and it went to the senior class. Senior class collected those monies as the kids came into school.
Hmm.
But we uh, where looked at it again was post COVID, as we looked at everything post
Yeah,
COVID. And yeah, as you said, there are just some families that would never participate with the casual days, um, just because there was a cost to it.
hmm,
And and there came a point in time where it's like, okay, how do you pick and choose which ones you allow to be, come no charge because now I'm
sure,
taking away from a fundraiser.
yeah,
So, our solution to that was we just found another fundraiser.
yeah, exactly.
So that they didn't have to worry about it. And honestly, because it was a senior class, as long as they weren't losing out on their money, they were fine because then they didn't have to show up early and they didn't have to collect money and they didn't have to do all this kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So yeah, when it's a general casual day for everybody, it's we want everybody to have opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it that way without doing the fundraiser. But
Now,
I definitely like the idea though and we've done similar things, not in conjunction with a casual day, where if you accomplish this task, or if you bring in funds for this thing that we're doing, then,
hmm,
and in fact, we gave a casual day away, because we did a food drive, and we set a goal for all the classes, and if they hit that goal, they got a casual day. So we've done things like that as well. But um, again, I we try not to limit that like per child. We try to make it as a
sure,
as a group effort.
absolutely. So I have a you mentioned you gave it away as an incentive. Those casual days are hugely incentivizing to me.
Yeah.
I've told students before, if I was responsible for, you know, if I was a homeroom somebody, I was helping them reach something, I would say, hey, I'll pay for part of this to get us to this point of being able to wear casual for the week or getting a casual day or whatnot. So that's a big incentive. And if you happen to Google casual day at school right now or something like that, there's a couple of the results come back, and it's from like mom blogs, and basically
Hmm.
saying my students love casual day so much. It is the thing which gets them up and out the door it's the thing which they get
Yeah.
to. Or if it's just like a jean day, or if it's a partial casual day like you were talking
Yeah.
about, it's a big deal. And I think about the opportunities to throw that into the different parts of the school year.
Okay.
So
I have a story.
go for it.
I have a story. So we at our school for a couple of years have been doing a rather large fundraising event called a gala.
Yeah.
And where at the gala we have some items that we auction off, and we have a lot of items that we do a silent auction for. And the one year we were putting our heads together and what are some things that we could put out for silent auction items.
Yeah.
And it was suggested and asked of me, could we put out a casual week
Mm-hmm.
for a class of your choice? We're like, sure, yeah, of course,
Do it.
parents are going to want to,
Yeah.
get that. Well, if I can tell you, out of all the items, which there were some nice items out there. I mean, we're talking like lots of Ravens gear, lots of
Mm-hmm.
uh, high ticket
Golf
items
giveaway,
out
yeah.
there, golf giveaways. Some of those things where you look down at the price that was written down for the silent auction, you're like, we got to bid that up. We got to bid that. We're letting that go for way too
Yeah.
cheap. But that casual week, I tell you, was just bid after bid after bid after bid.
Yeah.
And when the clock is going down, we had two mothers just hovering over that paper, upbidding each other. The timer goes off, and we're ready to pick those papers up, and they're still
Mm-hmm.
bidding. And thankfully, my development director is very wise,
Yeah.
and she said, "Ladies, can I ask you if you both give the bid as it is right now? We'll give you both a
Yeah.
casual week. How about that?"
How
They're like,
about
"Yeah,
that?
sure, we'll do that." So we brought in more money on that item than any other item that we
I
either
bet.
had in the silent auction or live auction, because they wanted to give their class, their kids' class, a full week of casual day.
We need
So
to
yeah,
do a whole
that's how valuable those things are.
we need to do a whole episode of the non you don't have to pay for these incentives and prizes.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there's no cost incentive, no cost prizes.
yeah.
There are so many out there that are tremendous like that, and that's a
Now
wonderful
I
one.
will
Good point.
say, and this is where frequency is important, because I am very, like, if a teacher comes up to me and says, "Hey, our class is working on something. I'd like to give them an incentive. Could I give them a casual day?" I'm going to not just be real quick to say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I mean, it
Hmm.
is easy,
Yeah.
but I'm going to take a second to at least look and say, "Okay, well, when is the last casual day? When is their next casual day?" Because if we're doing it too often, then again it kind of loses, it can potentially lose its spice,
Panache,
so to speak.
spice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it becomes the expected thing, and then you've got all those people up in arms because we don't have enough casual days, and
Hmm.
so you do want to be a little bit protective of these things. But yeah, that so easy to just say dress casually, spend nothing, and
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's a very interesting. Yeah, I'm sure those in marketing and those who sell items and they want there to be like the Tom Sawyer. He's whitewashing the fence and he's making a very valuable thing to whitewash the fence. There is overselling, there is overstocking the market, and
Yeah.
we don't want to do
Yeah.
that. So as much as there could be a missional reason to not do it, it sounds like we need to be good marketing experts as administrators to make sure we're not
Right.
overdoing these casual days as well to make them lose their pizzazz,
Yeah, the pizzazz.
the pizzazz
Right.
of them.
Yeah.
Anything else about casual days you want
I
to
guess
go over?
the one other thing I was thinking about, and I've considered this, and I don't know why I really struggle with it, but there have been times where I'm like, you know what? I want to just give the faculty a casual day, not the kids, just the faculty. And yet I know the day I do that, the amount of phone calls I'm gonna get and be like, "How dare you let the teachers dress down while you still expect the students?" But there comes a point in time where I'm like, you know what? They don't make enough money for me to just say, you know what? If the kids don't get it, you don't get it. But there have been those moments where I haven't pulled the trigger on that, but I'd be
Yeah.
interested to know if other people do. I mean, I like a casual Friday for just the teachers, while students are still expected to be in regular dress code. I don't know. I've just wondered about it.
Never heard about that. Maybe it's a competition thing where the faculty can beat the students on tug of war or something. They get this, so they get to wear it in front of the other a little bit, but
or
definitely not
or
consistent.
or make it an attendance thing. Everybody makes it to morning meetings, on
Hmm.
time. Then you earn yourself a free
Oh man,
free casual free.
that would be a big deal. That would be a big deal. We had written down to talk about the issues surrounding casual day, but the issues are going to be the same issues that we have
Yeah.
with our dress code or with our uniforms anyway. They're going to be the same
The
issues of pushing the
yeah
line one way. Someone's going to either knowingly or unknowingly push the line. The issues would definitely be, like we said, overutilizing them so that the shine wears off, or
Yeah.
something like that.
I would say inherently because you are dressing down, there is probably a higher potential of immodesty or things that are perhaps more highly inappropriate, that you've got to just keep a closer eye on. But that again, if you don't have a uniform, those are things that we run into every day.
Yeah.
Regardless. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's not like a bigger issue you're opening up. Um, but the one thing I would say when it comes to developing a dress code, though, if you're not a uniform school and you have to spell out what your expectations are, just a word of caution that I try to use as a rule of thumb: be careful not to just spell out everything that you want and you don't want, because the more specific you get, the more loopholes you create. If you're making a rule based on a fad, that's gonna change over time. That's a lot of upkeep. So this is where I would say go back to your mission, go back to your guidelines for even your general dress code, and say, why do we want students not wearing such and such, or why do
Sure.
we want students wearing these kind of things, and give guidance that way. Because as you said at the beginning of this, does casual day automatically go against our mission? To which I would say it shouldn't, because we should still be showing our students, even in a dressed down, more casual situation, we can still do our best. We
Hmm.
can still, be honoring and glorifying to God. If that's, part of your mission, then in all that you do, that includes your downtime. And I think of this sometimes in, it's a little easier when it comes to like our speech, when we are, just with friends, we might talk a little bit differently as opposed to when we're in the presence of an authority. And
Sure.
and it's like, okay, am I being honoring to God in both situations? Because God doesn't have a timeout. There's no timeout for God and his standard and his expectations. But at the same time, you don't want to go down the road of legalism where it's like, well, there is a absolute right and absolute wrong, and if I'm not choosing the absolute right every single time, I'm lost. There is a proper way. Again, I go back to 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether therefore you eat or drink, and it's something so basic. I remember
Hmm.
having this conversation with a friend of mine, like, really, there's a right way to drink a glass of water, there's a wrong way to drink a glass of water. Like, well, yeah, I think it does go back to motivation. It goes back to your heart relationship with God. It's not the pinky up, and that no belching afterwards. Like, I don't think there's anything like that. But the attitude and how we approach it, and if we're sharing with our kids, even in a day where it's like, throw the rule book out the window, we
Hmm.
can still be encouraging and saying, let's look at this and see how it'll help us, live out that truth of bringing honor and glory to God, even in a casual day. So
I don't have much to add to that. That was a He
just
was
put a
on a
cap on
roll.
it.
You're
Let's
on a
move on.
roll.
Let's
Let's
do
move
it.
along. Let's
Woo!
get to our Christian Administrator Spotlight.
That's what it is. It's time for the spotlight, which today goes to Joshua Burks, which is the administrator of Pensacola Christian Academy.
Yep, you are right. He's the administrator of Pensacola Christian Academy, and he has been there for now close to 25 years, which is incredible. Good job. We love those
Way
guys
to
who
go.
have, those men and women who have served in their schools for so long. What an encouragement. What an awesome thing. He served as a faculty member and a coach. He served as an athletic director for 5 years. He was the high school principal in 2009 to 2011 for a couple of years. He became, I imagine he held the role of administrative assistant at around the same time as he was doing probably some of that work still, but ultimately became the administrator in what seems to be May 2012. So
Okay.
he has been doing the good work there at Pensacola Christian Academy, which of course is the pre-K through 12th school at Pensacola Christian College
Mm-hmm.
in Pensacola, Florida. So
And
a lot of
and
our schools
one
will,
thing I wanted
yeah.
to say about this that I can't even fathom how
Hmm.
Mr. Burks is able to handle, because again we talked about, we're highlighting these administrators that are running a school that's connected to a college, but he is also connected to the Abeka curriculum,
Yes.
which does a lot of video work, which is videoing their high school classes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if we were to tell my students, listen, every day that you come to class, we're going to be videoing. And when you have to
Hmm.
give an answer, when I call on you to give an answer, you've got to step up to a microphone. Like, my kids would outright rebel. Like,
Not
no
gonna
way,
happen.
not doing that. Or like, or they'd be the other side of it, like, well, I'll be a Mr. Goofball in front of the camera. Like, I can't even imagine having that added responsibility as an administrator. So hats off to Josh Burks for the work he does there at Pensacola.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, this has been an interesting one. I wasn't quite sure how the casual day conversation would go. I didn't know if there was enough meat on that bone, but of course, if we've seen for everything,
Here we are.
there's plenty of meat on the bone. We could talk
Eh,
about anything, and
We can
we'll
talk
get
about
there.
literally anything. We talked about staplers. Okay,
We did.
staplers. Now, granted,
Staplers.
that was a really short lightning pod. You're welcome, Brian Wilson. But that was a, yeah. We're nothing is off limits. We can talk about anything.
We'll get
Love
there.
it.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for growing with us today.